In this lesson, we're going to look at meeting situations. A meeting situation occurs when the road isn't wide enough for two cars to travel in opposite directions. A common example of that would be when we've got parked cars at the side of the road and either us or the oncoming vehicles need to go around the parked car and temporarily go onto the opposite side of the road. Sometimes there may be parked cars on both sides of the road, and that can cause extra difficulty. As a general rule, if the obstruction is on your side of the road, you should be prepared to give way. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes somebody will steal your priority, or on other occasions you might decide that it's in your interest or in everybody's interest for you to give up your priority and allow an oncoming vehicle to pass through instead of making them wait. One of the main principles we're going to use today is the golden rule of priority. And that is, priority can only be given to somebody. You cannot take priority from somebody else. You can only assume priority if another vehicle has given it to you. Another technique we'll be using today is yes, no, don't know. When you approach a meeting situation, don't feel that you've got to decide straight away whether to proceed or to stop and wait. It's okay to not know. If you don't know, slow down. By slowing down, you buy yourself more time to think, and you will often find that the situation will resolve itself just by the fact that you've extended the time available to you. So let's go and have a look at some meeting situations. I'm on a slight hill, so while I'm checking my mirrors, I'll bring the clutch to biting point enough to lift the top of the car. Handbrake off slowly. And I'm turning left at the end of the road. Left mirror, left signal. I'm still in first gear. I'm slowing down more because I can't see past the hedge to my right. And I'm taking the first road on the right. It's before we get to the traffic lights. Straight away we're into a meeting situation. Cars parked both sides. There's nothing coming towards me, so I will proceed with caution. I'm always looking out for places that I could pull into if I needed to. I'm looking right up to the end of the road where the person's getting into the white car. I'm also making use of reflections in house windows to see if anything's coming round. I'm only doing just above 10 miles an hour. I'll be turning right at the end of this road. To give way junction, I'm keeping the car moving at just 1 mile an hour while I have a look. All clear to proceed. With the parked cars being on the opposite side of the road, we could reasonably expect cars coming towards us to give way to us. But of course, always be prepared that somebody might steal your priority. Taking the next road on the left. I can see through the railings that it's fairly clear. And into another meeting situation. Here we have a sign to say we have priority over oncoming traffic. Notice that they have a give way line. And at the next sign, it's telling us that we give way to oncoming vehicles. However, on this occasion, there is nobody coming towards us, so we'll proceed. There's no sign for this narrow section, but we can see the oncoming traffic would have a give way line. At this section, we give way to oncoming vehicles. And this sign tells us that we have priority over oncoming traffic. Turning right. At the end of this road, we're taking the first road on the right. There are two right turns close together. There's a white car approaching ahead, which may have pulled up on the right. I haven't seen the driver get out of the car, so he could still move. And here we have a motorcyclist coming towards us, although the road is still quite wide at this point. Again, at this point, the road is wide enough for two vehicles. I'm slowing down because I don't know what's around the corner. At the end of the road, turning right. There's a vehicle coming towards us and the road is not wide enough. So I'm using the brakes to slow down and buy myself some time. Now we're clear to go around one car. Again, using the brakes. I've gone below 10 miles an hour, so first gear. Still moving though. That's bought me some more time. Turning right. Notice how the car that we gave way to did have a give-way line, but he had already gone through that give-way line by the time we turned into the road, so we gave way. Along this road, we'll have a look at tucking in between parked cars so that we can give way to another vehicle. And we'll do that just for demonstration purposes, even if there's nothing coming towards us. Before we tuck in between parked cars, we will slow down to a crawling speed. We will select first gear and we will manoeuvre between parked cars very slowly. We won't park up next to the curb because that would indicate to cars behind us that we were intending to stop. We will take up what's called a hold back position and we will position ourselves away from the curb, slightly overlapping the parked cars. That means that our body language will be suggesting we're just waiting, we're not stopped. Let's take a hold back position here. That allowed the oncoming vehicle to proceed. I feel he was going a little fast for the conditions, so on that occasion it was probably worth giving way to him. Let's demonstrate a hold back position between parked cars again. Taking first gear, tucking in but not getting right up to the curb, pretending the imaginary car has just come towards us and gone past, and now we can proceed. There are two cars approaching, so let's see how we can help them or how they can help us. There's a long stretch of parked cars. Looks like the car ahead has stopped to give way to us. I'm going to move out slightly just so he can see I'm still moving. And I'm a big believer in saying thank you to people who give way, especially when they didn't need to. Never be afraid to take your hand off the steering wheel to say thank you momentarily. Turning left. Leaning forwards to get a better view around the corner. Here's another time to have a hold back position. The car coming towards us is already moving. Slowing down, first gear, trying to keep the car moving very slowly. and the dark grey or black car coming towards us, and taking a hold back position, trying not to stop, just buying myself some time until that car passes. Always looking for places that I could tuck into if I needed to. Somebody might reverse off a driveway without looking, and we'd need to maybe give way to them. So by looking for tucking in places, we're keeping ourselves safe. Where could we tuck in if we needed to? I've gone over the giveaway line on this occasion just to make more room for the oncoming car. Another way of thinking about meeting situations is that we don't necessarily need to pull in between parked cars if there's somewhere that we could reasonably expect the oncoming traffic to pull into. We could pull up before their passing place, wait for them to pull in, and then we could proceed. Let's go and simulate that. There's a car coming towards us. He could reasonably pull in after the white car on his side. Thank you. So we slowed down to encourage him to pull in. We used our speed to tell people what we were doing. The car on the left has got his foot on the brake pedal, so I'm expecting he might move suddenly. Turning right. I can see that the next sign says priority over oncoming vehicles, although they will be coming up a hill and round a bend, so they may not see me. So I would be prepared to stop if necessary. So far we've seen two signs to tell us who has to give way to who. But how do you remember which is which? One way is to remember that the red arrow is the car that has to stop. Another way is that the big arrow, irrespective of colour, is the car that can carry on. Sometimes there are words underneath the signs as a reminder, but if not, that's how you can remember them. Note also that the sign for give way to oncoming vehicles is a red circle, so it's a you must do so, whereas the sign for priority over oncoming vehicles is a blue rectangle, which means it's only information. We have a cyclist ahead. I'm allowing him to go around the parked car before I consider overtaking. Red traffic light ahead, so I've finished accelerating. I still have the cyclist in mind because we haven't travelled very far since overtaking him, and I can see he's in my left mirror, he's alongside me. There may be a meeting situation along here. Although the road is wide, if there was a lorry or a bus approaching, we may need to tuck in and give way. Red traffic light ahead. I've come off the gas to slow down. Checking for cyclists either side and proceeding as far as I can. Checking to the right in case traffic moves. Turning right over the bridge, I will signal now. Have a protected right turn area, clear to continue. The signs on the right tell me that there's a sharp bend to the left and the road narrows on both sides. This could be a meeting situation. It'll be compounded by the fact that we've got parked vans either side. lorry coming towards me. This is a meeting situation. I'm slowing down in advance to buy me some time so that I don't need to stop. Turning right, third exit at the roundabout. Let's look at a technique we could use if we're not sure if it's safe to proceed. The gap might be too small, there might be too much traffic coming towards us. So let's have a look at how we can use the I don't know technique and slow down while we think about it. So for instance, let's say we're not sure if it's safe to go around the lorry. We can slow down. And the closer we get, the more information we have about whether it's safe to continue. Let's pretend again we were not sure. We can check our rear mirror, we can slow down. The closer we get, the more information we have, the more certain we are, and it's safe to proceed. As you get more confident, you will start to approach a little faster, but don't be scared to take the I don't know attitude. Preparing to turn left. There's a bus behind me. So my signal went on a little earlier. Here's another occasion where we could simulate not knowing whether it's safe to proceed or not. We can slow down. That buys us more time, and the closer we get, the more certain we are of whether we can or can't proceed. In this lesson, we've looked at meeting situations. That's where the road is too narrow for traffic to go in both directions, and one person has to decide to give way to another. We've looked at the golden rule of meeting situations, which is never assume you have priority, because it can not be taken, it can only be given. We've looked at signs that might help us decide whether to give or take priority. We've looked at yes, no, I don't know, when deciding whether it's safe to proceed through a meeting situation. I hope this lesson has been useful. Have a good day.